Hello again, welcome back everyone. LiquorHound here with you, and thank you for joining me once again for another spirit review video. Today we're going to be taking a look at a couple of really tasty and mature bourbons. Now we have the Knob Creek limited edition 15-year-old bottled at 100 proof. Retail pricing on it is $125. Then we have the Evan Williams 12-year-old 101 proof coming to us from the Evan Williams Experience there in Louisville, Kentucky. Now this one I think can only be found there, but the good news is if you happen to be in Louisville, you go to the Evan Williams Experience, go up to the second floor, it's probably going to be right there on the shelf. Retail pricing on it is the same, $125. Now this being a Heaven Hill product, of course mash bill is going to be different than the Knob Creek coming from Beam. The Evan Williams is 78% corn, 10% rye, and 12% malted barley. The Knob Creek, on the other hand, is 75% corn, 13% rye, and 12% barley. So this is more of a traditional where the rye is the second grain, to whereas this one actually has more barley than rye. So it's a little unusual there. The 15-year age-stated Knob Creek used to not be very uncommon. I mean, it wasn't all the time, but we used to be able to get the Knob Creek single barrels, 120 proof, 15 years old, sometimes 13, somewhere in there. And we'd be able to get those for $60, but apparently they're not going to be doing that anymore, especially when you can upsell it to $125 for a 100 proofer. Now, it's not all bad, okay, because actually, you know, when I'm tasting barrels and I'm going through the barrel room and let's say I come up with a blend and I'm like working the blend, a lot of times I find myself really loving bourbons somewhere between 107 and 100 proof. I really love that range. As a matter of fact, that's why St. Sally happens to be bottled at 100 and 107. But, you know, I find these to be very, very drinkable and very rich and round in mouth coating. Still, there's still enough oils. It's not below 100 where you start losing a lot of viscosity and a lot of the flavors and oils coming through. But anyway, our point is that I really like these proofs, and I was really excited to shoot this video for you. So let's go ahead and get it started with the Knob Creek, 15 years old. And let's see, here we go. On the nose, oh, that's a nice one there. Lots of brown sugar, lots of fruits popping. Good grief. The fruits are so vibrant. This one has like a lot of black cherry, raspberries, blackberries as well. The cherry is so natural and so bright. It's really enjoyable there. It's not artificial. I don't like when they go into the maraschino territory. It kind of bothers me. But you do get a little bit of the sour tone underneath. So a little bit of like a, I don't know, a little bit of almost not quite apple cider vinegar, but maybe it's more like a polish tone. A mahogany polish under those fruits as well. Cinnamon. Little bit of clove. Little touch of anise as well going on in here. Little shaved coconut like that on the edge of the glass. And a good solid oak foundation as you'd expect with 15 years of maturation. Little bit of nuttiness, but not nearly as what I've come to expect from a lot of Beam products lately. Lately they've been getting really heavy, you know, on the peanut essence. And it wasn't always like that. But I'd say within the last 5 years or so, as they've kind of, I don't know if they're changing, I don't know what they did. I don't know if it's their yeast or it's just simply maturation times, but it's really been coming out a lot lately. And in this one, not nearly so. It's got a little bit of like, I don't know, maybe a little peanut skins, but that's about it on the nose. All right. I'm going to go ahead and taste it now. Here we go. Mmm. Wow. Now, I love it. It's got so much going on. It's got the vibrancy of the fruits. Big, heavy oak. If you do not like oak in bourbons, or you don't, you know, those older bourbons really turn you off with that amount of oak, it's probably not going to be for you. There's a lot of it. But there's enough fruit vibrancy to really kind of balance it out. So it just makes it seem like big and bold flavors, and it's both, you know, got the old oak, but then it's got all those vibrant fruits pushing as well, so it's really balancing nicely. As it enters, lots of brown sugar. It's got that maple syrup tone to it. Wow. That little peanut shells that I was picking up on the nose is in there. It's like those little red Spanish peanut shells. That's up front, as well as the kind of like, to me it's plums and apples baked down. So baked down plums and apples, maybe poached a little bit, right? They're kind of softened up, but they're really ripe. Those are in there. You get that cherry, you get that raspberry. Those feel a little more fresh. Get that little bit of blackberry in there, adding a little bit of depth. Wow. The cinnamon swell on that mid palate. You get that cinnamon, you get the clove and anise layering underneath the cinnamon, and then it just all seems to be joined with a little bit of kind of a darker chocolate on the back end as well, with that big heavy oak just layering underneath. A little bit of shaved coconut in there. I've seen that kind of develop and I don't know, a little regress a little bit. So I've seen it come in and come out a little bit with this Knob Creek along the way as it's been oxidizing, been breathing in the bottle. There was a point there where there was a ton of coconut. Now it's backed off a little bit. It's focused a little more on the dark chocolate on the back end, but there's still a little bit in there, and I do enjoy it. Flavor just lingers on this one. Lots of vanilla character. Vanilla, that sweet oak vanilla thing just rolling. All the flavors from the very beginning are in the finish. It's a very well done bourbon. Again, you just have to like mature bourbons. If you don't, or if you're not used to them, it might be a little bothersome. Oh, double rinse, maybe a triple rinse on this one. It's a lot of flavor. And to be honest, once I taste it, $125, I'm okay with that. I don't really want it to go to $150. That would be the point where, again, where I'm like, it's price to quality. We're getting, let's maintain a little bit. Wow, it made it through three little washes of water. All right, let's go for 4. There we go. Okay. Woo, it's a good one. Evan Williams 12. All right. A little sweeter on the nose. This one, and that stands to reason because this is a little more corn, so 78% corn to 75. 12 years versus 15, so maybe hopefully not leaning as much on the oak, but this one has a lot of caramel, a lot of brown sugar. Yeah, it's a little perfumey. There's a lot of and I guess it's because there's more barley than rye in this one. But I pick up almost like a little more, I don't want to call it, I guess what the most people would relate to, like a oats tone. There's a little bit of that in there. But initially, when you're going to smell it, you're going to get a lot of brown sugar, you're going to get a lot of caramel, you're going to get the plums, you're going to get cherries, little raspberry, red licorice is in here, cinnamon. I don't pick up much more than the cinnamon. It's almost like cinnamon toothpicks is kind of what it smells like. There is a nice sour tone to this, much more sour than even on the Knob Creek. And that's going to remind me a little bit of like a touch of like apple cider. But that little bit of oats that I was talking about, I still get that. It's not a bad thing. It's just a little it makes it unique, right? Maybe that's what they're always going for. As far as a little citrus, there is a little orange oil in it. And a decent amount of oak. It really smells like straight from the barrel, kind of. All right, here we go. On the taste. Wow. Okay. Medium high viscosity. Both these have really just above medium viscosity, but wow, very different. So when I taste this one, you do get immediately hit right up front with that big brown sugar. Almost goes into a carob tone. If you've ever had carob, it's kind of like a chocolate substitute. And it kind of has this burnt molasses kind of taste to it. That gets in there. You get lots of like black cherry, raspberry, a little bit of baked apples going on in here. Lots of barrel. Lots of barrel. At 12 years old, I think there's more barrel influence here than maybe even on that 15-year-old Knob Creek. But I love how pure the essence is of this barrel. And what I mean by that is when you're around barrels a lot, or you go to those rick houses and you smell that in the air, that's the essence of the barrel. That is 100%. That's in this glass right here. I just can taste those barrels. You get those tannins, that vanilla, that little bitter oak, that's in there. You get that little bit of that, I was kicking up a little bit of that peanut shell vibe is in here as well. But very, very enjoyable. And that sour tone, that little hint of that apple cider, that little hint of that mahogany polish, just layering in with that really nice oak. The oak, I tell you what, as big as it is up front with like the barrel char influence, and you get that real taste coming through on your mouth, when it finishes on the back end, after you get past that mid palate with the spices and you get that little dark chocolate drizzling in, and it really layers out on the back end, that oak is not as dominant as it was on this 15. Still plenty of it, don't get me wrong, but it just seems like the vibrancy of the fruits here is also, this is kind of what this one was doing, really helping the amount of oak that's in it. And at 125, this is a flavor bomb at 101 proof, as this was at 100 proof. So really, I don't think you can go wrong with either one of these. My personal favorite is probably going to be the Knob Creek 15 over the Evan Williams 12. But I enjoy them both, and I'm glad I have them both. So if I only had to pick one, I may go this route, but hopefully, you know, you don't have to pick, and you can get one of each if you're fortunate enough to be, again, at the Evan Williams experience there in Louisville. But I hope you enjoyed this video review. Join me over at patreon.com/LiquorHound if you can, to help keep this content rolling. Of course, my patrons are going to get every video 2 weeks early. They're going to get ad-free videos. They're going to get a lot of bonus content. So I really try to make it worth your while to come by over there and visit us. So if you can, join us. And if not, thank you for being here on YouTube. Greatly appreciate everyone's comments. Keep leaving them, and I'll get back to them just as soon as I can. Everyone have a great day, and cheers.